Hello, and you are very welcome. Good afternoon from Point Blank here in London, and welcome to our webinar today, which is for our music production and vocal performance degree. My name's John. I'm one of the senior course advisors here. I'm going to be bringing you through the event today, and I'm joined by Alex Wood, who is our program leader for the vocal performance degree. So, Alex, thank you very much for being here. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Pleasure to be here.
Brilliant stuff. Basically, there's nobody who knows more about this program than Alex. So if there's anything that you want to know, we're very glad to have him here with us today. So I'm just going to give you a bit of a rundown of what we'll be doing today. So first of all, I'm just going to give you a bit more information about the school and what it's like to kind of come and study with us, first of all. A little while later, we'll hear a bit more about the actual program itself from Alex. He'll go into a bit more depth about everything. And we'll also have a bit of a demonstration, right, about some of the stuff that you teach in your actual classes.
Absolutely, yeah, it's going to be fun.
Sounds good. Meanwhile, if you do have any questions, we'll have a Q&A a little bit later on today, so just get them in the chat room. My colleague Luke is behind the scenes. He's going to be answering some of them as we go along. Afterwards, after the demonstration, we'll answer some of them live as well. So we're based here in our actual campus in London, but broadcasting all over the world. So let us know where you're tuning in from. We'll give you a bit of a shout out. And thank you again for joining us today. So to get started, I just wanted to, first of all, play a little video just to kind of give you a bit of an overview about the course itself and what you can kind of expect when you come and study with us. So please enjoy.
This degree is primarily for two types of people, either for singers who want to learn how to produce and develop independence from other producers and other people working so they can record and create their own work. It's also for music producers who want to develop their vocal skills, either so that they can work more effectively with vocalists or so that they can record themselves and start putting ideas onto their own tracks as well. In the first instance, they're going to learn the basics of vocal performance technique, posture, singing in tune, breathing, all this stuff so that they can enhance and make the most of their singing voice. They also learn vocal musicianship, which is sort of studying singers and songwriters and vocal music styles through the eras, just so that they can apply that historical knowledge to all their creative stuff. In the second year, the specialist modules are songwriting and lyrics, which delves a little bit more into song form and particularly the art of writing lyrics for vocalists. Alongside that, they'll also do live vocal techniques in the second year, and that will involve basically preparing for performing on stage, so a bit more about performance movement, lighting, understanding a little bit about PA, and putting together a bit more of a larger set, if you like. And then in the third year, the specialist modules that they'll do will be Showcase, which is the summation of all of their sort of composition and performance work, and they can sort of sell themselves as artists to the world, get industry in, do something in an external venue. And also they'll do a module on session singing and improvisation, which is essentially getting them working with studio engineers as artists, going in, top-lining tracks, making up and improvising backing vocals, all that sort of stuff. So just trying to enhance their abilities as vocalists, but also widen their career possibilities as well. There's a huge range of careers that we're preparing you for. The idea is that, the current music industry, it's very difficult to sort of just make your way as one specific job role. And so this whole idea of having a portfolio career or side hustles, if you like, to make sure that you're always able to work and work effectively is really important. And we've kind of built that into the course to make sure that you're sort of ready to take opportunities wherever they come in a range of different fields.
The lecturers in the module and generally in Point Blank, they are all industry professionals, so none of us are full-time teachers or university lecturers. We rock up in Point Blank and we teach the students what we do every day outside of Point Blank.
For me, the networking opportunities is really what I have benefited from. But coming here has certainly given me a different confidence to perform and has really helped me to improve in all the areas that I needed to.
Built into the course, there's obviously a lot of opportunity to collaborate with other students, and that sort of is in replica of the music industry. The whole idea is working with your peers, working with other people that need your skills in terms of a project. Alongside that, we've got loads of guest lecturers and also opportunities for sort of working with people in the industry. One thing that we've heard from all of the students that have applied is that it's quite unique. There isn't another course out there that offers exactly the same fit of modules, and a lot of them have said this is exactly what we're looking for. So hopefully it's exactly what you're looking for too. Come and join us.
Great stuff. Well, hopefully that's given you a bit of an idea of, the kind of things that we look at. I'm going to delve a lot deeper into it in just a little bit, but just wanted to say, first of all, a massive thank you for joining us again. I can see in the chat we've got people from all over the world. So we got Millie just down the road in Croydon, we've got Charlotte in Amsterdam, Fabian in Germany, Bodika in Sri Lanka, we got Ida in Turkey, people in California, Flavia in Romania, Stevie in New York. You're all very welcome. We teach students from all over the world in our London campus here. Because the music industry, it is really global these days, so it's brilliant to be able to bring everybody together. We're going to dive into the actual degree itself here and just kind of have a look at sort of what's involved. So it's a Bachelor of Arts with honours degree, which is validated by our partner Middlesex University. So basically what that means is that we actually write and deliver all of the course programs ourselves, but the qualification itself is validated by Middlesex. So essentially what it means is that because they're a larger university, they're the ones who give the award, and you can actually go to the graduation, get the cap and gown if you wanted to as well, and get involved with that side of things too. So we've got two different pathways for our degree. We have a more sort of traditional 3-year pathway. This would be very similar to what you are probably used to if you're studying in school. So kind of studying from September to the following June, then having a summer break and coming in the following September for your second year. But we also offer a 2-year, what's called accelerated pathway. So this is basically the exact same program. It's just done in a more intensive way. So instead of having like a summer break, you'd be studying for 24 months concurrently. So it's a really good option for people who are keen to just sort of get into the industry a bit sooner and just finish your qualification. But what you'll be covering is exactly the same as the 3-year pathway. We are a little different as well. So we have 2 start dates for most of our programs. So we've got one coming up in September, but also we'll have another one coming up in April as well. So if September doesn't work for whatever reason, we can also consider you for a start in April too. So we're going to have a little bit of a look here at the kind of the study modes and the timetable. It's a full-time program, so we're going to keep you busy is the idea basically. So generally speaking, you'll have 2 or 3 days of actual lectures per week covering a variety of different modules. But outside of that, it's really encouraged to kind of come in and use the facilities to be able to kind of work on your tracks, collaborate and work with other musicians and things like that. So Alex and I, we're in Studio 5 right here, which is one of our practice rooms. You can see we've got loads of different kit around, different keyboards, Junos, hardware equipment. Just to my right here is an actual live vocal booth as well with desks. So this is all what's included when you come and study with us. And we really do recommend trying to make the most out of the time to kind of come in and use the facilities. We teach in small class sizes, normally 16 students in the more kind of production and music-based ones, but then also limit the classes to 10 for the vocal-related ones. The idea being is because everyone is going to be at sort of different levels, right? And it's really important to kind of have this individual time with your lecturers to try and help just kind of take you from whatever level you're at in your own careers to the next step, and just kind of drill down on things that you're looking to improve on, right? Yeah,
exactly. Gives you a chance to get a bit more technical input, basically, and just hear what's going on a bit better in your lectures. Yeah.
Excellent stuff. So we partner with a number of the biggest sort of brands and manufacturers in the industry. So people like Logic and Ableton, Pioneer DJ, with a variety of different mixing consoles like from SSL, Audient and so on. We really want our students to get their hands on the latest kind of kit and a range of different things like microphones, of course, and everything. We have basically everything that you need on campus here just to kind of work on your portfolio and improve your ability as a musician. So some of you watching today, you may have come into one of our regular open days or even our offer holder days to check out the campus over in Norseman Road. But it's actually really exciting times for us as well, because we are just in the process of doing an absolutely massive expansion in our second campus, which is just around the corner over in Penn Street. So we've got a little bit of a sneak preview for you now. Alex, I don't think you've been down to the new building just yet, right?
No, I haven't, but I've seen the plans. It looks awesome.
It's going to be incredible. To give you a bit of an idea, for anyone who has seen our other campus, that's roughly 11,000 square feet. So the new campus is going to be an additional 19,000 square feet. So essentially twice the size of the old campus. We're going to be keeping that as well, just to bear that in mind. So students will have access to both. They're just around the corner from each other. I was down there just about a week ago. I'm not exaggerating when I'm saying we do have to put up maps on the walls to be able to kind of navigate around. It's going to be really, really cool. So that's going to be coming any month now, basically, in time for our next start date coming up in September. So we've got some kind of ideas, mock-ups of what it's going to look like. So we'll have a brand new hub area, which is going to have a dedicated stage for our performers and our singers in particular. So it'll have its own PA system, a lighting rig and a bar. You'll see as well, we also have this stage area for you know, more opportunities to put on live gigs and events and things like that. We'll be talking about that in just a little while. So 2 new dedicated singing specific classrooms for our vocalists. Yeah, we'll have loads of more recording studios, so 2 more additional massive ones with the SSLs, things like the Dolby Atmos, the Pro Tools HD rigs, and the Dante systems for the recording process, which we also cover on this degree. Loads of different practice rooms like DJ studios and more production-based ones. And yeah, loads of study zones as well, things like libraries and kind of areas you can kind of come in when you're outside of your classes just to, you know, work on your projects. Because as I say, we're open 7 days a week and it's really encouraged to kind of come in. Just as a reminder, if you do have any questions about anything we've talked about so far for myself or Alex, get them into the chat. We'll be talking about them in just a little while. But just having a look at what's actually included as part of the course. So it also includes the studio lab time, which is basically how you can book out your the practice rooms to come in and study in. You'll also have loads of opportunities for one-on-one lab time with our studio technicians. So it's really your chance to just sort of drill down on anything you want to improve on, close any gaps in your knowledge, or if there's a specific thing you want to kind of help improve in your music, that's a really good time to do so. With that, you'll also have regular one-on-one sessions with your lecturers, so people like Alex and the other lecturers, be that for the vocal side of things, or the production side, or the business side, whatever it might be, just to make sure that you're following along and have loads of, you know, contact hours with your lecturers. Because as I say, you know, it's really important to have that, because everyone kind of learns in a bit of a different way. We want to help kind of, you know, hone your skills and just sort of help you improve as much as possible. Our students all have access to a world-class virtual learning environment, or VLE. So basically what that is, it's where you'll have access to all of your course materials, you know, your course notes. We actually record a lot of our classes as well, so you can watch the videos back if you ever want to use them as kind of a reference. You can just log in on your phone or your computer anywhere in the world, so you'll always have access to your, to all of your course materials. And we also have loads of different guest lectures and exclusive features for our students, which I'll go through in just a little bit. One of the things that we really like about kind of when you come and study with us is that when you do, you'll be part of what we call our ecosystem. So it's not just necessarily about being a singer, a performer, a songwriter, or, you know, whatever it is. You'll be surrounded by like-minded creative individuals. So that could be anyone from like other DJs who are looking for new tracks, or radio, you know, people who have their own podcasts or radio shows. Could be people who are more in the industry side of things, looking to sign the next, you know, the next talent. Content creators, videographers, all of this side of things. Because one thing, and I'm sure Alex you'll agree with me, one of the most important things when it comes to the music industry is networking and collaborating, right?
For sure, absolutely.
Absolutely. No person is an island, as they say. So the more sort of contacts you have in the industry, the better. You know, you never know, somebody who you are just kind of having a lunch with in the hub one day, in 6 months' time, they could have a new label and you've got some new tracks you want to get out to labels. So we really try and stress that, getting people working together as much as possible. Another really big thing we focus on is getting our students their foot in the door in the industry and connecting you with the industry. So we do that in a number of different ways. So for example, we have different things like, you know, showcases where students can kind of get together and like exchange music. We have things like singer, songwriter and producer meetups as well. We do loads of different actual live events for singers. Alex, you probably are better to tell us a bit more about those, the events for singers, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we've got lots of different groups going on. Phil Ramacon, one of our lecturers, he runs a fortnightly open mic night, which is a great way to come along and sort of cut your teeth performing. That happens, as I say, every fortnight. We've got a point blank choir, which is run by Jay Henry, who's a great vocal coach. and he puts together a performance at the end of term. So we've got that happening on the 17th of June down in Signature Brew in Haggerston. And then also this term we've got some student showcases. That's part of their level 6, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But essentially they've got 2 gigs that they're putting on in Camden Club as well. So yeah, it's going to be a busy time. In about 2 weeks' time, there's going to be 2 or 3 gigs per week happening.
Excellent.
So yeah, it's going to be brilliant.
I mean, it's so important, you know, particularly for kind of performers. The more experience you get in front of a crowd, the better, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And for any of our other students, are very welcome to kind of get involved as well. Or if you live in London, you know, come along. Definitely, it's worth checking out, meeting some of our students, getting more of a feel for it. As well as that, we've loads of masterclasses where we want to bring people from the industry in to, you know, give their knowledge to the next kind of generation. So to give you an idea, in the last 12 months, we had people like Jonas Blue, Salma Abdul Hadi, Dennis Solta, Rudimental come into the studios here to have a chat with our students and give them just guidance on what they can be doing in their own careers. So, you know, one of the things I always stress to anyone who comes and studies with us, the people who I see who are the most successful are the ones who don't just do the lectures and the practice time and so on. It's take advantage of all these additional events and opportunities as well, right? That's really going to help you out so much.
Definitely.
Great. Well, listen, hopefully that's given you a bit of an idea about the school in general. But I think one of the really important things about Point Blank and what we do is the caliber of our lecturers. So everybody who teaches here has a background in music, probably 10, 15 plus years working within the industry and, you know, still very much still active in the industry. So it's not just a case of getting taught by, you know, professors and lecturers. It's learning from people who are active in the industry and have the credentials to kind of back it up. And Alex, of course, is no different. So,
That's for sure.
yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? How did you get into to music?
All right. Well, I'm fairly old, so I did it in the sort of more traditional way. So my background was as a classical musician. So I went through the grades, both as a trombonist and a violinist. And then subsequently went to university and then as a postgrad at the Royal College of Music studying orchestral performance, which was great fun and I loved it. And I did quite a lot of gigs performing both in West End pits and orchestras. But I found that my true love was more electronic based. A lot of the music I was listening to was actually rave music and electronica and things like that. So with my passion for physics, I started to use that to teach myself studio production. And chiming in on that thing about, you know, networking, I happened to bump into somebody who was working with my wife. They said, "Oh, I've got a recording studio." I said, "Okay, do you know any engineers?" I said, "All right, I can do it." I hadn't really done any multi-track recording in my life at all.
Learn on the job, of course. Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. My very first time using a multi-track recording studio was live with clients in front of me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, everything else I taught myself out of a book, but that led to a job engineering. And I've recorded heavy metal bands, musical theatre, location recording for orchestra, voiceovers, pop singers, all sorts of different stuff, because ultimately, particularly at that period where I started in the sort of early 2000s, everyone was coming to studios because there wasn't so much ability to record at home.
Absolutely.
Nowadays there is a bit more to do that. But yeah, so I had demo musicians and all sorts coming through my door. So yeah, did a load of work on that alongside continuing to play as a professional musician as well. And then also supplementing my income doing a bit of peripatetic work as well. Bit of composition, done some corporate composition for things like adverts and stuff like that as well. So yeah, all different bits and bobs. Oh, and yeah, did live audio production for a number of sort of West End shows as well. So yeah, all sorts of different things.
I think diverse is the
yeah,
word I would
absolutely.
probably use for that. You know, one of the things that we try and kind of get across to our students a lot is to, you know, have as many different skill sets as possible. If you look at Alex or any of our lecturers, you know, they have a list as long as their arm of different jobs and things that they've done or been involved with, which is really, really cool. But yeah, I mean, you've been kind of involved with this program pretty much since its inception. So you've seen kind of all manner of different students. So I guess one thing that we, hear from our students a bit is that they're not exactly sure if it's the right fit for them because maybe they're not like, you know, musicians as such, or maybe they're not kind of singer-songwriters. Maybe they're more coming from like, being rappers or MCs. What would you kind of say to that?
Well, actually, the idea behind designing this course was having looked at that need and seeing that particularly people like beatboxers and rappers didn't really have a place to go to do higher education. So we thought, okay, what would be really good was to design a course that not only catered for singers, but for rappers and people that wanted to do music production but were currently getting funneled into a music technology degree. So ultimately, I would say to all students is that this is very much a home for that. You can come and do rapping and be assessed as part of your vocal performance being a rapper or as an MC. And also, as I sort of mentioned in the video, it's not just about people who want to be end user artists. In fact, it's about also producers that just want to improve their vocal performance and develop those vocal skills because they quite fancy trying to record some of their own ideas in the studio as well.
Yeah, 100%, absolutely. So we're going to check out the course in a bit more detail. Just as a reminder, if you do have any questions about anything at all, drop them into the chat and we'll go through them in just a little bit. But yeah, let's have a look at, so you can see on your screen here, we got a bit of a breakdown of what we're looking at in year one.
Yeah, so essentially we've kind of designed it so that there's a whole bunch of subject areas that build level on level. And so level 4 is really very much about getting you in, giving you some basic knowledge and functional skills so that you can then start to become creative and develop those as you go through. We know that our students are coming to us at slightly different levels of expertise, and so we want to make sure that everyone's got that sort of basic ability on all of these sort of areas. So, you know, with music production, that's understanding the ins and outs of your DAW, and really being able to use that super efficiently.
Yeah.
Vocal performance obviously is super exciting and a key part of this, understanding how to perform safely, but also enhance and develop good technique as a singer, but also a reflective practice so that you understand, okay, how can I do things better rather than just carrying on doing what you're doing. Vocal musicianship is kind of cool because that's much more about the background of music, music history, looking at different genres, how you make music within those, and some key iconic artists, and sort of some of the sort of societal impact of what they do as well. So it's almost like how music sort of fits into society.
Yeah, and sound engineering is an interesting one. It's one that kind of, you know, it's also in obviously our sound engineering pathway as well. And I think sometimes our kind of vocalists are a little bit daunted by this one in particular. And what I often say to them is, you know, to be able to record yourself is, you know, to a good standard is really important. But I also think even if you're more of, you know, in the box, you know, in being the performer, just knowing what a sound engineer is doing can be really beneficial to kind of get your idea across to them, right?
Absolutely. I think, yeah, if you're in a session, even if you're not running it technically, understanding what you can ask your engineer for, you know, how they can change your headphone mix, what you can ask for in terms of different setups with mics, can really help you shape and get the best out of your program. Now, I think what's really cool about doing sound engineering for vocalists as well is that whole element of events and live sound. You know, we cover connection types and all the basic equipment, so it allows you to operate effectively and efficiently in that sort of environment. Absolutely. Too. So it's a real good sort of underpinning of those skills.
Yeah, and that leads us quite nicely into year 2, in fact, I believe, where we're looking at the live side of things as well, right?
Yeah, so live vocal techniques sort of takes that a little bit further on. It's a kind of a two-piece module, if you like. Partly it looks at the technical side behind events and setting up a PA, how to avoid feedback on monitors, all this sort of stuff. But also you as a performer, how you perform live. So how do you put together a set? How do you act on stage? How do you talk to the crowd? This sort of stuff to help you feel comfortable performing to an audience. Yeah. So yeah, it's quite a fun module, that.
And I think, you know, with anything, it's just experience, you know what I mean? That's why we've so many gigs and events, to get that under your belt, to be able to kind of, you know, just build up the confidence and get your personality across as a performer, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think one of the main things we keep getting asked by students is, you know, how do I deal with stage fright, performance nerves? And the simple answer is that A, preparation, and B, normalisation. And normalisation is go and perform loads.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, that's exactly the way to deal with it, yeah.
One I know that's really popular as well is the songwriting and lyrics module, which is, of course, extremely important. Can you tell us a bit more about what we'd look at in that?
Yeah, sure. So it builds on the basic skills that you've learned in music composition, but then looks more specifically at the craft of writing a song. So it looks at song structure, but it also does quite a deep dive into writing lyrics. And obviously that's a really important part of vocalists and vocalist composition because you're going to be singing. But we look at things like tense and narrative. We look at rhyming schemes, scansion, so how you fit syllables of lyrics to the rhythm of a melody. Yeah, it's really kind of interesting. We also look at, again, sort of things like protest song and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So how you get a message across in your song, and where that's been really impactful in society. But yeah, ultimately what you get to do is create a portfolio of your own material and sort of share that at the end as a little sort of showcase, basically.
Fantastic stuff. And yeah, year 3 then. I think you may have noticed at home that there's kind of a thread of different modules that gradually get more sort of advanced.
Yeah, definitely. So, for example, one to pick out would be Showcase. That follows on from vocal performance and live vocal techniques. Showcase is basically where the students sort of take what they've learned and actually undertake an events management sort of hat.
Yeah.
So they have to arrange and book a venue, sort out all the tech riders, but equally they have to think about their artists' branding, how they look, and invite people from industry and an audience and promote the event. So it's really kind of like a great way, a calling card, if you like, for them to sort of say, right, this is me, this is what I've discovered about myself as a performer. I'm going to send it out to the world now. They'll do some covers, but they'll also do some of their own songs. Hopefully, maybe some things they've written in songwriting and lyrics.
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, definitely. And I think one thing as well that it's really supplemented because there's 3 business-related modules throughout as well that can really help. Literally a module called marketing and branding, which is about exactly that. So when you do have the people from industry out there, you know, that you're able to showcase what you're doing and hopefully get some major labels interest, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really good opportunity for them to sort of get that wider network going. Session singing and improvisation is slightly different.
Yeah.
That's much more about the sort of idea of working in a studio. So although it says improvisation, we're not looking at jazz so much here. What we're looking at is how do you get into a studio as a vocalist, lead vocalist, and do stacks and build up different takes and come up with harmonies on the fly. And so the actual assessment itself is you go in and do a recording session over a backing track that's been given to you and make up some harmonies and sing live, which is great because ultimately the idea with a lot of our assessments is we want it to replicate industry, to be real live experience, to feel like you're really developing the skills that you're going to use on a day-to-day basis rather than be something that's sort of hyper-theoretical or academic, you know?
I think that's so important. It's not just learning it for the sake of it, it's learning it because this is what you'll do in the real world. And I think that's kind of what we're looking at in the portfolio modules, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's really great. It's a sort of double-weighted module, if you like, and it lasts for twice as long as all of our other modules. But this is really your chance to express yourself as a creator. So you might do an album, you might do a series of concerts, you might do a composition portfolio, or even maybe a vocal engineering portfolio if you're so inclined. But the idea being is that you're thinking at this point at level 6, what do I want to do coming out the other end?
Yeah.
How can I create some really cool portfolio material? And within session singing improvisation, you've created a show reel. That's part of what you do. But the other side of it is what else can I do? And your professional portfolio is a really great opportunity to kind of really dive deep into something, really expand your skill set and create a really great show reel of material that you can then send out to people and say, look, this is me, this is what I can do.
Absolutely. Get you ready to hit the industry as soon as you kind of graduate, because that's what it's all about. And that leads us quite nicely, in fact, into the different kind of career opportunities. So as we kind of mentioned before, it's not just about, you know, being single focused and just being a songwriter, just being one thing or another. There's so many different opportunities that we covered throughout the 3 years. So I'm sure you've seen like a variety of students who have vastly different interests in what they want to do after, right?
Absolutely. And what's really funny as well is that through their journey in the course, their mindset changes as well. They sort of experience, they come in going, right, I want to be a producer. And then they come out going, well, actually, I still really like producing, but I've realised that I quite like top lining for other people's work and creating lyrics and vocals for some other people's stuff. Or they get an itch for putting on events and creating an events company or a night or a regular night and that sort of stuff. So the idea is to expand your horizons and make you employable. This word portfolio career, you know, I had one. Most people have one. You know, it's the way that you can kind of take your musical skills and make money with it. But, you know, as you mentioned, all the industry-based modules that can lead you to jobs in record companies, running your own label, distribution, all this sort of stuff. The live side of things, I mean, you could do live tech, you could put on events, as I say, look at touring. But equally, the vocal technique stuff you could look at then peripatetic training or vocal coach, or doing sort of workshops and outreach things as well. So there's a huge range of different opportunities sort of baked in, and that's what we're trying to encourage you through the design of this course.
Sounds great. Fantastic. Love it. Well, listen, Alex has very kindly put together a bit of a show reel actually of some of our students. Why don't you tell us what we're going to check out?
Oh yeah, well this is some students of ours coming live from Studio One in Orsman Road, and this was a nice collaboration where they did like a live lounge performance with the radio students, because we have a radio course here too, and that's a great way of performing and putting
Collaborating, most importantly as well.
That's it. We love it.
Excellent. Well, listen, enjoy. Please, check this out.
Hello and welcome. I'm Chris,
And I'm Hannah.
and this is Point Blank Live Sessions.
Too high, I can't come down. It's in the air, it's over nothing but didn't take care of me.
It's been a hot sec since I dropped lyrics, and everyone around me is a hip-hop cynic, so get with it, cause my sets are the sickest. I'm slick Rick, have to say.
Great. Amazing talent. And yeah, real interesting to see a different range of musical styles from quite mellow to more kind of vocal led, which is really interesting as well.
That's it, and we're finding that with our students is that there's such a broad range, and it's really lovely to see, you know.
Excellent stuff. Well, listen, I can see a lot of questions have come in already, so thank you very much indeed. Do keep them coming in because we're going to have our Q&A section just in a little while. But now I think what we'll do is hand over to Alex to give us an idea about kind of what we are actually looking at in some of the modules. So what you got for us?
Okay, well, what I wanted to talk to you through is a little bit about studio vocal production. That's the module that I lead, I'm quite passionate about. That's a level 5 module, follows on from sound engineering, but because you're all vocal students and top lining and recording your own vocals is a really important part of today's industry, we take a really deep dive into recording and producing vocals specifically. So what you can see here on screen is a little snippet from that VLE that John mentioned earlier. Each module has weekly topics, and then each of those then has many pages of videos and resources and downloadable stuff, which is really great. It means that you can really sort of dive even further into the subject if you really want to. And what I'm going to do is just a little snippet of a demonstration that I would do as part of week 8 for effects for voice, and looking at ways of routing and controlling reverb. So if I just close that there. So I've got a track here. If I just play a little bit of it, you can hear the vocal's dry at the moment, but you can hear the sort of style of it. So at the moment, the vocal's sticking out like a sore thumb. So obviously, first thing we're going to want to do is put a massive big washy reverb on it for this sort of synthwave retro style.
Nice.
You know, think The Weeknd or something like that.
It reminds me a bit of Drive. Remember that movie?
Yeah,
from a few years back?
I think Drive was responsible for bringing back 80s synth music. It was,
Maybe
yeah,
even
loved it.
responsible for The Weeknd's career. Who knows?
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, I think you're right there. So first things first, we're going to apply a reverb to the vocal. Now, if you're going to apply it as an insert, naughty, don't do that. We're going to apply it as a bus. The reason being is that with reverbs, if you apply it via bus, it gives you control then over your reverb output. Whereas if you apply it as an insert, every time you want to adjust the volume levels, you're going to have to go back into that particular part of the plugin and adjust it. And it means that then what we would do, for example, backing vocals where we'd send multiple parts to the bus, we can then adjust the level individually just there. So instead, I'm going to apply it through here. So I've set up a bus, and it's going through bus 1. Okay, and then if I just click on there, you can see There we go. And I've got my reverb on here. So if I just apply my reverb, if I play it back, you'll hear what the problem could be. So it's sounding quite nice, but it's pretty washy. Yeah, you can't really hear it too well. So a neat little trick that you can do is on your bus that you've put your reverb is actually apply a compressor. Now, it's not compressing the reverb output directly. What I've done is I've applied a sidechain. So up here, you can make it sidechain. What sidechain is on a compressor is basically you use an external signal to control the compressor rather than the channel that it's on. And what I've done here is I've linked it actually to the vocal itself, and it's performing in what's called a ducking roll. And what happens then is when the vocal comes in, the compressor turns down the reverb. But as soon as the vocal comes out, the reverb comes back out again. So I can create this sense of a really massive splashy reverb, but when I actually need to hear the vocals, it just pulls it back a little bit. Nice. So the way you do that is essentially you'll set it up quite a hard ratio, maybe 7 or 8 to 1. A fairly fast attack and release, just make sure that you've not got any makeup gain or auto gain happening. And then you dial your threshold down so that it's doing between 5 and 8 dB of gain reduction. So what you'll hear now is if I play this, you should hear, we've still got that nice big reverb, but we don't have it all washy and obscuring our vocals. So you can hear it comes back in at that tail, we get that nice long spready tail. And obviously you can adjust this. There's no, as with all music production, there's no absolutes of levels that you have to set. It's all context dependent, but that's a good starting point.
It's subtle, but it really makes a difference. And it's quite a classic technique, the ducking, you know, often you use on, say, a kick drum and a bass line.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that one's quite a common thing to do. I think it's, with all production, it's that concept of marginal gains. Yeah. So you don't want to try and do one thing that's going to do loads and loads to it. What you're going to do is lots of little improvements that are all together will give you that difference between an amateur vocal and a professional vocal. What's really cool, we can do exactly the same thing with an echo. If I bring that in, but without the ducking, you can hear again, this is going to start to obscure my sound. But if I then bring in my compressor, again it's just pulling it out of that mix. But you still get a nice delay coming in. So yeah, it's just a really nice way of really taking control of your vocals when you want to have this sort of effects-heavy process. What you can also do is then also send your delay back into your reverb bus as well, so it smooths that out if you want to as well. So yeah, you can use this in all sorts of different aspects, but yeah, the sidechain compressor is a really super useful one for effects.
Nice, nice. We're in obviously a studio at the moment, so we've got some great speakers. Hopefully it's coming across on your headphones or wherever you're watching it around the world right now.
Fantastic. Okay. I mean, is there anything else you would like to ask me about this?
I had a bit of a question for myself, actually, which is, yeah, I think it's a bit of a subjective one, but when you obviously record a lot of vocalists and things like that, do you EQ before you record or after? It's kind of the eternal question, you know?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, there's also the argument of EQ before compression when you're post-processing as well.
We haven't got time for that today.
No, okay, right, let's not touch that one. I think when you're recording in, there's always that argument of if you've got really nice equipment, say for example, great analog EQ or compressors, what you're going for there is a little bit of the richness and the sound. Normally they'll be transformer based or valve based, and they'll impart these nice harmonics that really warm up the sound. And so if you've got those, it's always great to do a little bit with it, but always be cautious. If you're processing on the way in to record, the problem you've got is you can't undo it.
Yeah.
So you've got to be really careful that, so for example, if you're compressing on the way in, only do say 2 to 1 or 3 to 1 ratio, so it's only taking a little bit off the top. If you're doing EQ, try and keep it just sort of broad, general, gentle strokes, but that will give you enough to get the character of the equipment for sure.
And of course, you can always come back later on after and tweak and things like that.
Exactly, in the box, yeah, then the world's your oyster. You can then start adding any effect that you want.
That's great. So this this is on level 5, so this would be in your second year normally, you're looking at this kind of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it follows on, basically, that module follows the workflow of studio vocal production. So week 1, we look at just how to get in and record a vocal. Week 2 is using a microphone and preamp, but looking in real detail at some of the classic microphones you'll find in professional studios and the differences between types of preamps, so you can really kind of make good decisions. Week 3 is editing and comping. Week 4 is vocal tuning, so auto-tune, but also repitch and melodyne, this sort of stuff. Week 5 is timing, so using things like Vocaline to actually bring all of your tracks into time. Week 6 is dynamics, so that would be gating and compression, de-essing. Week 7 is EQ. Week 8 is effects. So the idea being is we take the students through week by week the processes that they should do in the order that they should do them, so then they've actually not only got that experience of taking a project from start to finish, but hopefully then the assessment work that they do is done right, but also it just kind of reinforces all of that learning. So it's really great. Personally, I really love doing this module, and each week we build in a recording exercise as well, so it's not just working at workstations, but you do a lot of practical work for that, but we also get vocalist in the booth and then someone else engineering it as well, so yeah, get a good opportunity to really try all of the aspects of vocal production out.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the reasons why this kind of program came about is that a lot of our singers and vocalists wanted to be just really self-sufficient, to be able to write, record, engineer, produce, sell, do everything, be like a one-person army. That's kind of hopefully the outcome by the end of it, right?
Absolutely, and some of the people that come and visit us, like Gennady, he does exactly that, he's got a Grammy, but the point being he's still working from his studio at home, top lining for people, recording his own vocals, and that's what you do. That's the skills you need to develop. So yeah, absolutely, it's key.
Amazing stuff. Well, listen, thank you so much, Alex, for showing us that. And for everyone watching, hopefully that gives you a bit of a flavour of the kind of stuff that you'll be learning on the actual degree itself. Obviously, there's 3 years worth of content and material covering everything, vocals to the studio and everything in between, but we can only show you a little tiny bit today. Listen, wanted to then now move on to the Q&A. Thanks so much for everyone who's been asking questions. So we'll jump right into them right now. There's a perfect one to start off for, actually, from Joanna, asking, is there an audition process for this degree? And what does it look like, basically, for our singers?
Yeah, so we asked to do an audition. You can either come in person to our campus and do that, or you can send in a video of you doing it. Essentially, you've got to sing 2 songs back to back and film yourself singing them. And one will be picked from a list of repertoire that we set, and then the other one can be a song of your choice.
Cool.
And essentially, we just want to hear you singing, see what makes you tick. Don't worry, it's not an X Factor type thing if we're looking for the top 5% and everyone else is going to get a red button. Not at all. It's just about making sure that you've got the basic sort of skills covered, and we think that you've got the potential for us to work with.
Yeah, great. And I think one thing to bear in mind is from the chosen songs, there's loads of different styles, right? It's it's kind of whatever style you want to make, essentially, right?
Oh yeah, we've got everything from Stormzy to Nirvana in the chosen songs, and Clean Bandit and Coldplay in between. So there'll be a song that you can find and you hopefully be able to sort of do a nice performance of. So yeah, don't worry.
And for the second song, I think we just normally ask for like a backing track. Can that be original as well, or would we rather it was a kind of a more well-known one?
To be honest, it doesn't matter either way. I think if it's an original, what we do ask is you send us a demo of it, so we know what it's supposed to sound like. But yeah, it can be an original. Some people do. Some people do set repertoire. It's okay for either, I think. Just think about, if you are doing one of your own songs, just think about, does it portray my vocals in my best light. Because
Yeah.
if what you've done is you've done a very simplistic vocal, it's not necessarily the best way of showing off what you can do, because that's what we want you to do. Show off and show us all the different aspects of your vocal. So pick 2 different types of song and show us the extent and range of your technique.
Sounds good. I've got another one that kind of leads in from that from Fabian. Maybe a little bit of a subjective one, but he's asking how good does his singing have to be if he's more of like a songwriter?
Well, I think we have got quite a broad entry criteria. It's not that we're looking for super high caliber of singers, because partly we're expecting you to go through that journey with us, and we're there to help develop your singing. As I said, partly the idea for this course was also for producers that were perhaps really good at producing but wanted to enhance their singing skills. So yeah, you don't have to be the finished article by any means. I think as long as you can sing in time and sing in pitch, we can kind of take care of the rest.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not particularly high level as such.
I think one thing to sort of bear in mind is that people are coming in from different backgrounds. So, you know, somebody like Fabian could be great at songwriting. So those modules, he's going to have loads of experience, but less as a performer, where somebody else might be a great performer and want to focus more on their songwriting and to improve that, right?
Yeah, and we get some really, really great singers, you know, sort of musical theatre style and all sorts, but are really green to production.
Yeah.
And they're in here more to learn about the production side of things and the engineering, but also to keep their vocals going. So yeah, there's a real kind of nice mixed bag, definitely.
Great. I've got another one here then from Charlotte, just asking about the area around the school, basically, in terms of student life and accommodation, safety, things to do. So yeah, when it comes to things like student life, you know, we have loads of different events, kind of Alex mentioned that before, and that's just the singers, you know what I mean? We also have other events for like our DJs, other performers, you know, the social aspect as well, because the music industry, like any creative industry, is so much about you know, getting together and collaborating and networking. So we've loads of different events for that. We're right in the middle of Hoxton, which is sort of between Shoreditch and Dalston. If you're not familiar with the area, it's a real hub for nightlife and music and live scenes and things like that. So there's loads of stuff going on. We're beside a park and primary school, so relatively safe, I would say. We don't actually have our own halls of residence, but we do have recommendations for student residencies within the area. So I recommend checking out the accommodation page. Maybe Luke can link to that in the chat as well if you want to check that out afterwards. So yeah, but if you have any questions, just get in touch, let us know, okay? Cool. Got Alexa's asking a question. How personalised will the degree be? Our class is small, so you get lots of one-on-one time with the teachers.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, each of your modules, you'll have 2 one-to-ones with your tutor alongside, obviously the lectures themselves are not sort of just stand at the front and talk and you just take notes and get on with it. The lectures themselves are very practical and hands-on. So a lecturer, when they've set you a task, will typically go around and check each of you and how you're getting on and talk to you about your progress and help you if you're struggling. But then equally, you also get these 2 half-hour sessions that are just your time with your lecturer on Zoom, and you can talk about your project, help for your assignment, or alternatively any other technical things you want to know about, or what a lot of my students ask about is, how do I get a job?
Yeah, and, well, speaking of, that brings me on nicely actually. I think somebody asked in the chat there, as well as the one-to-ones with your lecturers, we also have other one-on-ones that you can book out as well. So for example, we have our industry liaisons whose job it is to help our students with things like, you know, how you can write your CV really well, how you can use things like, you know, LinkedIn and your socials to get kind of more attention, how to kind of prepare yourself for applying for jobs. As well as that, we also have artist mentorship. So we have, you may have seen in the video a bit earlier, we have our own in-house record label as well. So that can be an instant kind of foot in the door to get your music released and see what that's like to, you know, approach labels, get the music out there. For anyone who joined us from the very start, that's actually one of our tracks from the label, from one of our artists, Talia Rue. Amazing singer-songwriter. More stuff to come from her coming up soon. So yeah, definitely, these are other things to take advantage of when you come and study with us. We can help you get your foot in the door and get your music out there, because we've got like millions of followers across our socials at the moment, so it's about getting as many kind of eyes and ears as possible onto your music. So yeah, hopefully that's answered your question. Okay, let's have a look here. Let's just have a look here. Yeah, Manpreet's asking, will the electronics modules help people who are not interested in electronic music I'd love to apply for this course, but wondering if some of the modules don't apply to what he wants to learn. So, yeah, I mean, I think one thing to bear in mind is that it's not just electronic music, as in EDM or electronica or things like that. It's learning the kit, basically, right? Learning how to use things like software, all this different equipment that you can see around here. But the style is totally open, right, to whatever you want to make.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, songwriting, we encourage you to sort of explore and really kind of play to your strengths and play to your character. The idea behind the technical modules is just to give you a wider skill set and a wider creative palette to create different sounds and be a bit more experimental. In year 2, there's an electronic music performance module, and that isn't about you doing a live dance music track. That could be something as simple as doing live vocoding like Imogen Heap, or using a looper effectively like Ed Sheeran, or, you know, it could be all sorts of different things. And so we're very open for you to be able to make use of that. And we try to sort of make sure that the content of those technical modules is to support and enhance what you want to do rather than to force you down a particular pathway.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you know, just to really stress that if you're a singer-songwriter making more kind of acoustic stuff, you might want to have a loop pedal with just some drum, you know, background. It's all about kind of being able to kind of take the show on the road, as they say, or if you're working with other artists who are more inclined to that kind of style of music as well, is to give you a full kind of a 360 ability to work in the studio or the live world, or, you know, whatever it is you're kind of looking to do with your music. Absolutely. Great stuff. All right, let's have a look here. Ada is asking, just about scholarships. We've got a range of different kind of scholarships and bursaries that are available, both for UK residents and international. It's a little bit too much to go through at the moment right now, but what I recommend to do is check out, we have a scholarships and bursaries page that you can take a look at, and go into a lot more detail. I believe Ida's already applied, so just get in touch with us and the admissions team. We can take you through all of the details with that, if that sounds good. Cool, and then we have a question here from Bodica asking, can you let me know if it's possible to work while learning? They're a part-time beat maker. How many hours should they dedicate? What about accommodation? Yeah, so it is a full-time course, as we say. So realistically, you want to be dedicating at least kind of 20 to 25 hours. It is possible to work kind of part-time, but we would sort of, you know, recommend maybe in the evenings and say like a bar or a cafe, or maybe over the weekend. But, you know, to get the most out of the course, you know, definitely that should be your kind of big priority, to sort of come in and, you know, make the most out of it. Would you sort of agree with that?
Absolutely, yeah. So you know, you want to be free to be able to come in, use our project studios, do collaborative work, you know, get involved with some of our guest lectures, that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's finding that balance. We know it's expensive to study in London, but yeah, you don't want to kind of do too much that makes it too difficult for you to keep up.
Great stuff. Well, listen, I think that's just about all the time that we have right now. So if you do have any other questions, don't worry, we're going to reach out to everybody, or just give us a call or drop us an email. We'll be very happy to answer any more questions that you have. So if you are already joining us in September or beyond, can't wait to meet you then. If you've been in the process of applying, if you're doing your auditions and things like that, we will be in touch very soon to help guide you through the next process. Hopefully if you're thinking about studying with us, we'll get an application from you very soon. But yeah, last thing is just for me to say a massive thank you to everybody who helped out today. So Stan and Barney behind the cameras, thank you very much indeed for all your help. Luke doing the Q&A behind the scenes as well. Massive thank you to Alex for letting us know more about the program in much more detail. And for everyone joining us today, thanks so much for getting involved. And one of the, just before we let you go, how we really like to be sort of judged as a school is about our students and what they've kind of gone on to do since studying with us. So we've put together a little showreel just to kind of give you an idea about what some of our students have gone on to do in the industry. I'm sure you'll probably recognize a few faces here. So until next time, thanks again, and we'll see you soon. Have a great rest of your day.
Just noise, white noise. Just noise.
Everybody feel it, come around with the rhythm, it's a sound. Every feel it, come around with round. Everybody feel it, come around with the rhythm, it's a sound. Everybody get down when we give it to you.
Everybody feel it, come around with round. Everybody feel it, come around with round. Everybody feel it, come around with round.
Everybody in the front.